Hey, welcome back to Way of the Wrench. Today we're going to talk about your car battery and how you can save its life during a extended long time of not driving, such as going on an extended vacation or a worldwide pandemic. So stay tuned and we're going to learn all about it. Okay, so first up, I thought I would make this video because I naturally went out about 3-4 weeks into this worldwide COVID pandemic thinking that I need to disconnect my battery so I don't have a dead battery. And it dawned on me that there's a lot of people that actually don't know about this, and there's a ton of people, we're talking like worldwide, people that are not driving, they're not going to work, their cars are just sitting, they got 2 cars, 1 car is just sitting, and a lot of these people 3, 4, 5 weeks into this are going to have a dead battery. And so I thought, what a great video to make to help people try to save some money, because a battery is going to be about 150, 200 bucks, and nobody likes it when they get into a car and they try to turn it over and they hear click, 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 or absolutely nothing at all. And if you leave these batteries in the car long enough, you will actually kill the battery dead. Now, you won't be able to do anything with it. So this is the magic number, 3 to 4 weeks. That's when your car battery starts to go down. Now, it's nothing saying there's something wrong with your car. Cars these days, especially fancy, nice new cars, have a lot of stuff going on under the hood that they have to keep memory of, and that's battery drain. What causes this? Well, this is a normal thing to happen in your car. You don't have something wrong with your car. There are settings that the car has to remember when you shut the key off for the car. So, such as your radio settings, window settings, sunroof settings, alarms. Alarms is a big one. It's really quite draining on your car. Your engine needs to remember a whole bunch of presets, such as your idle air control, RPMs and settings and things like that. So these are all the things that slowly drain your battery over days, over weeks, over months, to the point where your battery is completely dead and not working for you. All right, so the very first thing we need to make sure, though, is if you're going to disconnect your battery and leave it locked up, you need to make sure that you actually have a physical key so that you can actually turn it into the lock and open up your car and access your hood release lever. If you don't have this, do not disconnect your battery. You need to find the physical key. Now, a lot of newer cars may have a big closed-in key fob. If that's the case, look online. Usually there's a little pull release and you can release it, and there's a hidden mechanical key inside of that. So make sure you have your physical key so you can get into your car later, because once you take your battery out, you will not be able to use your key fob buttons to unlock and open up your car. All right, next thing, you got to pop the hood. Lever's under here. So next thing, if you're a real newbie and you've never played with your car, once you've popped the hood inside, the hood won't actually open, and that's a safety thing, so that if you accidentally bump that lever when you're driving down the highway, your hood doesn't open up and block your vision or just take your hood right off your car. So this is a safety thing. So every car's got the same thing, but slightly different. Get your head down nice and low, actually look for a little lever, and without bending and prying things, just try to figure out which way that the lever goes, and once you figure it out, pull the lever, open the hood. Okay, on this vehicle, we've got a hood stay here. Find where your hood stay is, tilt it up, and then use that kind of radius of where it goes to figure out where the hole goes for it. Usually it's marked with an arrow. Some cars will have a gas shock or two to hold the hood up. If that's your case, then use those. To disconnect your battery, you're going to need a couple things. You're going to need some safety glasses, because if this battery actually does decide to spark and have an issue, maybe you did something improperly, you need to have some safety for your eyes. So first thing, get some safety glasses or goggles. Okay, next thing, you're going to need a wrench or a socket that fits the hardware on your battery terminal posts. So in this case, it's 10 mil for us, and most Japanese cars are going to be 10 mil. Okay, other bonus things that you probably should have is a screwdriver or two, a flat one. That way, if the terminal is a little bit tight and closed up, clamped up all the way, you can adjust that quickly and widen the gap with a set of screwdrivers, and I'll show you how to do that. And then the other thing that's a good idea to have, and it's really quite cheap, it's $5. This is called a battery post terminal cleaner. I like to tell my students it's the Sarlacc pit, because it's got a little hole here that has all these little wires. This is going to be used for cleaning the post of the battery itself, and then inside all of these tools, when you unscrew them, is the male end of it of a wire brush, so that you can clean the inside hole of the terminals themselves. So that way both the terminal and the posts get cleaned up nice and new. So now that we've got our tools ready, what is the proper order to disconnect our negative and our positive terminals? Well, what are we talking about, negative and positive? Well, what you're looking for is a little plus symbol. That's going to be your positive battery post. positive terminal, and then the one with the negative, which is a little hard to see, it's on the battery right down here, is the negative. Okay, so in this case, you always disconnect the negative first and then the positive. So we're going to be disconnecting this one first, then the positive. Negative terminal here, 10mm wrench. If you don't know this rule already, lefty-loosey. So you put your wrench on your fastener like this, put it straight at the 12 o'clock position. If you go to the left, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Okay, that's how you figure this out. That's a good rule of thumb to remember. Okay, once you've got the battery terminal loose, pick it up and take it away and put it away from the terminal so that it doesn't get in the way. And then on these positives, usually there's a little plastic flap to lift up here. This is just to prevent anything from touching something else grounded on the body and touching the positive terminals and causing a spark. So take that off. Okay, and if you have trouble getting them off, sometimes a twisting motion while you're lifting up can actually help. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to clean this battery up. So you can see this post's got a bunch of corrosion on it. Not good stuff to have, and if it gets really, really bad, it actually interferes with your charging and your power systems. So use the hole for the posts. Just put it on and give it a little turn, always go in the same direction. And you'll know you're done because the dull gray battery terminal post will look nice and shiny, brand new. Now that corrosion, simple, easy way to get rid of it. You don't have to neutralize it, just pour water on it. Literally dump a little bit of water and wash it off if you need to. Not a big deal. Okay, and then we clean this post. This one's going to be a little hard to get to with this tool. Well, we can get to it if we take the lid off. Okay, nice clean post. And like I said, while we're at it, we're going to clean up these terminals. Same thing, pushing it in and out by twisting and turning the wire brush. Make sure it's all nice and clean. You can see there's actually quite a bit of corrosion coming off here. So it's a good thing we're cleaning this. Okay, undo the positive. Now, if you are just trying to disconnect your battery so that this car can sit for 3, 4, 5 months without the battery draining, this is all you need to do. Make sure they're separated, make sure that they're not going to accidentally touch, and close your hood, lock your car, make sure you have the physical key so you can get into it when you need to. Okay? Now, this part of the process is basically putting it back together once you need your car to start again, or after you've taken the battery out to recharge it in your home garage, etc. Okay, now when you're putting this together, there has to be the opposite of what you just did. So we're going to put the red terminal on first, then we're going to put the negative terminal on last. And the reason why we do that is if you don't do it like that, the car's computer can actually get a little bit of a glitch happening in it, and it doesn't like it. It can have a bunch of issues. So the last terminal you connect has to be the negative. That's our negative terminal, and over here there's our plus sign for positive. Okay, so when you're putting these terminals on, you do not want to make this as tight as humanly possible. Often what happens is you end up damaging your clamp, and then that is a bunch of work and cost to replace. So the trick to knowing how tight this bolt should be is you give it a snug and you check. If you can turn that terminal on the battery post, it's too loose, snug it up a little bit more. Check again, it's still loose, snug it up. Once you can't physically move it on the terminal, that's the correct tightness without over tightening. Now, another thing to note, these battery posts are not straight. They're actually kind of tapered a little bit, meaning that the bottom of the post is a bit wider in diameter wise than the top. So if you're finding that these are tightening up, but you still can't get it to tighten where it won't be loose, Often what's happened is this has been tightened too much, and this bolt needs loosened, and you can put the flat of a screwdriver in there and kind of twist it to get it to widen out a bit, and that will allow you to put the clamp on further and go all the way down to the widest part of the post. Hold it down as you tighten it up, and then that should make it snug for you. Positive cable first. Make sure that that cable goes down as far as you can and get to the widest part of that terminal. Okay. Okay, give it a little snug. Don't be right up on here and going as tight as you can. Just give it a little snug, and then check to see if you can actually physically move your terminal. And I actually physically can't move it, so there's no sense going even tighter. All I'm going to do is possibly break my clamp, strip my nut on the clamp, etc. So that's good. This side's done. Put the plastic cap back on. This negative clamp has to be the last one so that your computer doesn't have an error once it starts. Okay, I can't physically move this connection, so that's going to be tight enough. I don't need to go any tighter. At this point, we're all done under the hood. All right, sometimes when you disconnect a car battery from the computer, it forgets a bunch of settings, such as what the idle should be, any kind of fuel trim settings, etc. And so some vehicles actually go into some kind of limp mode where it doesn't work properly until they're reset. So the procedure for doing an idle relearn is common for most vehicles, but I highly recommend you do look up your own specific vehicle on a search engine and just type in 2008 Toyota Yaris idle relearn procedure, and it should talk you through anything you need to do. That might be slightly different for your vehicle. However, for most vehicles, once you have the battery installed, the key thing is to put your parking brake on, put it into park if it's an automatic, put it into neutral if it's a manual, turn off all of your accessories, start the vehicle, and do not touch the throttle. Don't operate anything in the vehicle, just let the car idle, and that way it will relearn what it needs to do. Some vehicles only need a minute or two, some vehicles need up to 15 or 20 minutes. So that will vary depending on your vehicle. But like I said, please look it up, make sure that it's what's for your vehicle. All right, so for my idle relearn procedure, I'm inside the car now, battery's been installed, I've got my parking brake on, put my clutch in, make sure I'm in neutral, put my foot on the brake, put the key in the ignition, and start your car. Push the clutch down and start the car. Okay, now I'm in neutral, so I'm gonna let my foot off and I've got my parking brake, so let my feet off, and the car is idling. Okay, now the idle may go up and down for a couple minutes, up to 15 or 20 depending on your vehicle. In this case, my car is not doing that right off the bat, so I'll probably not even need this reset. But main thing is I'm not going to be touching my gas pedal. I'm not going to be revving it up or driving it immediately. Have it do its thing. Look it up online to find out how long you're supposed to let it sit here and idle. And one last thing, make sure that you've got all of your accessories off. You don't have your radio on, you don't have any windows going, fans on, AC, etc. The other thing is, once you've got your idle relearn reset, because we disconnected the battery, chances are your radio presets are going to be gone. So you turn it on, and these are your radio presets, so you can just quickly jump to radio stations. And these are not my settings, and some of them are off. So here's your proper way of doing this. Go to the one you want, use your track. So in this case I'm going to set it to 94.5 and work my way up from there. Okay, and then for every car on the planet, all you do is you hold down your setting that you want that channel for, and it usually beeps to tell you it's done, and then you can let it go. And so when I go away from it and go back to one, we're back on our settings. Okay, now on a fancier, higher end car that may have some automatic window down settings, or BMWs that where the window goes down just as you open the door so that the window can clear the door. Some cars actually need to have their windows and a moonroof or a sunroof reset. So you'll have to look up for your individual vehicle, but they're usually pretty standard. Usually they want you to do a certain window first and in a certain order, but all you do is figure out that order and it tells you to put it all the way down and then just go all the way up. And then you would cycle through for all 4 windows or the sunroof, and usually that resets those as well. All right, so another thing that you're going to have to reset when you disconnect your battery is your time settings on your actual clock. So that's not the correct time, it's actually 10:49 right now. So I need to change that. Now every car is slightly different, but a lot of them are the same. It just depends what you have. If you're not sure, you can look in the owner's manual or look online. So for me, I actually have to press this clock button and hold it until one of the digits flashes. And it's been about 4 or 5 seconds, so I'm gonna let go. Okay, there we go, it's flashing. So now if I adjust it, I can adjust this to the first digit, and on mine I have to wait until the flashing moves over to the minutes. Once the minute starts flashing, I can start changing those. And then just wait till it stops flashing. And there we go, my time's set. But yours might be slightly different. Sometimes there's 2 buttons for hour and minute. Sometimes there's even a little tiny hole you need a paper clip to initiate the changing of the clock. All right, so some of you might be wondering, can I actually test my battery to see if it's got a full charge before I put it back in, or just, how do I check my battery before I maybe even disconnect it? Is it fully charged and need to go on a charger? So all you need is a multimeter. Black lead goes into the COM hole, and the red lead goes into the one with the V, which stands for voltage. And then on here, we need to find the symbol that says V with a straight line, not the V with the little squiggly line, which means alternating current. So we want it on the straight line only, and we're going to put it to a 20 scale. So that means we can measure up to 20 volts, and our battery should be around 12.7 if it's fully charged. Then all you do is you put the red lead on your positive terminal, black on your negative, and we've got 12.49 volts. So a good 100% fully charged battery is about 12.7 volts, and a dead battery, for all intents and purposes, is going to be around 12.1, 12.2. It's not a linear scale. It's not like if you have 6 volts, you have a half-charged battery. All right, for this part, we are going to show you how to charge the battery. You can leave the battery connected in the vehicle if you want. If you got it sitting in the garage inside your house, that way you can charge it that way. Or if the vehicle's elsewhere, it's out on the street, then simply disconnect the battery like I showed you and bring it in to be able to charge it. Now, you've got some options here. First option is what I like to call a dumb charger. So this is an older style charger. It's meant for charging batteries, but it's kind of dumb. It doesn't know when your battery is done. It expects you to check on the meter or check it with a multimeter and unplug it in a bunch of hours. They work. They're cheaper. Generally, they're older ones if you find them around. There's nothing wrong with them, but the big thing that I need to warn you about is do not leave this on your battery for days on end. It is not designed to do that, and it will keep charging your battery even though it's full, to the point where your battery will actually get hot, start to swell, and a possibility of it having it explode on you. Okay, now with any battery charger, the hookup is exactly the same. So you've basically got a black negative clamp, alligator clamp, and you got a red positive alligator clamp, and you've got your electrical outlet plug. So safety, make sure you got your safety glasses on, and very first things you need to do is hook this up to the battery and put it accordingly where it's supposed to go. So red one on the positive terminal of the battery, black one on the negative terminal of the battery. Okay, now it doesn't matter which one you put on first. Nothing's happening yet, just put them on. Not a big deal. And then the very last thing you do is you plug this into the wall. That way, there's no electricity trying to go through that clamp when you put it on. And there's going to be zero risk of any sparks happening, which is a bad thing to happen over top of a battery because of the hydrogen gas that comes off when they're charging. So I'm going to plug this in. Okay, on these older style battery chargers, we've got a couple settings here. We've got 2 amp, That's going to be kind of like a little trickle charge, just a nice slow charge. And then we got a bit faster, 12 amps. And then over here we've actually got a 75 amp engine start. Sometimes they're even higher than that. This is basically designed that the battery is pretty much almost dead and you need to really boost it so that we can try to start the car. There's a setting over here for different types of battery. So you've got your conventional and low maintenance normal batteries, that's on the left, and then if you click it over to the right, these are for your maintenance and deep cycle batteries. So most batteries are going to be on the left. And we've got a scale here that's going to show us where the battery's at, tell us if it's on, tell us when it's got a full charge. All right, a little hard to see in the sun, but we've got power, and we've got a little needle here pointing to our charge. It's starting to slowly go up because this battery basically is fully charged. So I could leave this on this charger till I get the little green light. All right, so when you are done and you want to disconnect the charger, the safest way to do this is make sure you got safety glasses, unplug the electrical cord first from the charger, and then you're safe to disconnect these terminals. Once again, there's no power going to the charger itself at this point, so you can disconnect either of these and there won't be any sparks above the battery, which is really important because when a battery is charging, it releases hydrogen gas, which is flammable and explosive. So you don't want to have sparks over top of the battery. You shouldn't be smoking, any kind of open flame sources, etc. Okay, second type of charger that you could buy, and honestly, if you don't have a charger and you wanted to go buy one, get one of these ones instead. This is a smart charger, so it has a lot more functions than a regular charger, and it has the nice additional features that when the battery is done charging and it's at 100% capacity, it's smart enough to realize that and stop charging. And if it's hooked up long term, weeks, months on end, it will turn on when the battery starts to drain again, topping it back up. They call it a float, so it'll just keep your battery at that 100% charge and indefinitely. So all of these are pretty much the same. And you've got basically something to tell you that if it's hooked up improperly, got it backwards on the connection, what the charge level is at, and what type of battery. So there might be a setting right here where you can change the mode to tell it what kind of battery you've got, and what kind of charging you want. Do you want it just a trickle charge, slow and nice and steady, or do you want this to charge as fast as possible? Okay, the setup for this charger is exactly the same, so we're going to put the red and black alligator clamps on the battery first, and then we plug it in. Okay, so this one was a little hard to see, so I'm just picking up the camera so you can see. Interesting, you can see the little fade effects with the LED. So this battery was already charged, so you can see that it's already up to 100% charge. Had the settings, it automatically detected it's just a normal 12-volt battery. And right now there's no charging happening, so none of the amperage displays are showing what it's charging, because it's basically flashing green that this thing is done. All right, that's the end of the video. Hopefully I was able to help you guys out and save yourself some money. You don't have to buy a new battery, or even just save yourself the grief and headache of going to start your car and hearing absolutely nothing. I personally in my life have killed about 2 to 3 batteries just from leaving them plugged in. And I would not want this to happen to lots of people out there right now. If you enjoy the content and want to see more, please subscribe. And if you have any questions or concerns, leave them down in the comments down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, have a nice day.